It was my daughter Lily's 5th birthday, and I had spent 3 days baking that pink unicorn cake from scratch. Every swirl of frosting, every sprinkle placed with love. Because that little girl deserved the world after everything we'd been through. I walked into my mother-in-law Patricia's house with Lily's tiny hand in mine, her eyes sparkling with excitement, completely unaware that her birthday was about to become a nightmare. My sister-in-law Karen grabbed the cake from my hands before I could even set it down, marched straight to the trash can, and dropped it inside with a loud thud that echoed through the entire room. "Seriously?" She laughed, pointing at Lily like she was nothing. "You're wasting a good cake on her? She's not even your real daughter. She's adopted." My brother Mark chuckled and added, "Yeah, Mom told us everything. Why are you celebrating a kid that isn't even yours?" My mother-in-law stood there with her arms crossed, nodding along, while my father-in-law stared at his plate like he couldn't see or hear any of it. Lily tugged my sleeve with her tiny fingers and whispered, "Mommy, why did Auntie throw my cake away?" Her voice was so small, so confused, and I felt something inside me crack, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just picked up my daughter, grabbed her small backpack, and walked out the front door while Karen yelled behind me, "Good riddance. Take your charity case and leave." That night, I held Lily as she cried herself to sleep, asking me why her grandmother didn't love her, and I had no answer because I had been asking myself the same question for 8 years of marriage. The next morning, my phone exploded with messages from Patricia. "Where are you? Your father-in-law needs his medication. Come back and cook breakfast. Are you really going to ignore us over a stupid cake? You're being dramatic. Adoption isn't the same as blood." I read every single message, felt the sting of each word, but I didn't reply to a single one because I knew something they didn't. Something that was about to change everything. At exactly 10 a.m., I heard a knock on my mother-in-law's front door through the security camera I had installed months ago when I suspected someone had been breaking into their garage. 5 black luxury SUVs pulled into the driveway in perfect formation, and 8 men in crisp black suits stepped out like they were on a mission, their polished shoes clicking against the concrete as they walked toward the entrance. My mother-in-law opened the door with her usual annoyed expression, but her face shifted from confusion to panic when the lead man spoke in a deep, professional voice. "We're here to pick up Mrs. Sarah's personal belongings and documents. She's being relocated to company headquarters effective immediately." Patricia laughed nervously and said, "Sarah? My daughter-in-law? She's just a housewife. She doesn't have a job. You must have the wrong address." The men didn't laugh. They didn't move. They just stood there waiting. And that's when my phone rang. It was my CEO, Marcus, a man I had worked alongside for 8 years without anyone in my family knowing. I answered on speaker mode so my mother-in-law could hear every word, through the camera's microphone, and Marcus's voice filled the room like thunder. "Sarah, the board just approved your promotion to Vice President of Operations. Your new corner office is ready on the 47th floor. Your signing bonus of $1.2 million has been transferred to your account, and we've arranged a private jet to take you and Lily to the Maldives next week, as a thank you for your years of dedication." My mother-in-law's face went completely white, her mouth hanging open like a fish, gasping for air, and she stammered, "Vice President? 1.2 million? But she's just..." I finally spoke, my voice calm and steady, and I said, "Patricia, I didn't tell you because I didn't think it mattered. Money was never important to me. Family was. But since you threw my daughter's cake in the trash and called her a charity case, let me correct your assumptions once and for all." I took a deep breath and continued. "I started working at that company 8 years ago as a janitor, cleaning toilets at 2 a.m. While you all thought I was sleeping in, I worked my way up through 27 different positions, taught myself coding at midnight after Lily went to sleep, and earned every single dollar through blood, sweat, and tears that none of you ever bothered to ask about." My voice grew stronger, sharper as I said, "Today, I'm one of the youngest vice presidents in the country. I own 3 houses, 2 cars, and a stock portfolio worth over $8 million. And every year, I donate $500,000 to adoption charities and children's hospitals, not for recognition, but because I know what it feels like to be unwanted." My mother-in-law started crying. her voice cracking as she begged, "Sarah, baby, we didn't know. We're so sorry. Please forgive us. You can't just leave like this. We're family." But I wasn't finished. I looked directly into the camera, knowing she could see my face on her phone, and I delivered the final blow. And Lily? She's not adopted, Patricia. She's my biological daughter. I used a surrogate because of severe medical complications after my first pregnancy. But I never told anyone because I didn't think my child's origin should define her value. But even if she was adopted, she would still be more family than any of you ever were to me. Because family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who loves you, and who doesn't. Throw your cake in the trash. The movers started collecting my belongings from their house, important documents, photo albums, and sentimental items I had stored there. And my mother-in-law collapsed to her knees sobbing. My brother Mark started screaming threats into the phone, and my sister-in-law Karen tried to grab one of the movers' arms to stop them, but I simply said, "I'm done. You don't get to share in my success after you treated me and my daughter like garbage when we were struggling. You don't get to call me family now that I'm valuable." Hung up the phone, blocked every single one of their numbers, and turned off the security camera feed because I didn't want to see their tears or hear their apologies. I had waited 8 years for them to see my worth, and they only noticed when I was walking out the door. That evening, I took Lily to the most expensive restaurant in the city, a beautiful place with chandeliers and white tablecloths, and I ordered her the biggest slice of chocolate cake on the menu, placed it in front of her with a candle on top, and watched her face light up like the sun. She looked at me with those big, innocent eyes and asked, "Mommy, are we going to see Grandma and Grandpa again?" I kissed her forehead, wiped a single tear from my cheek, and said, "No, baby. But you know what? You don't need people who make you feel small. You're a queen, and queens don't cry over trash cakes. They eat chocolate cake in fancy restaurants and live happily ever after." She smiled, ate her cake, and I smiled too because, for the first time in 8 years, I felt completely free. Free from their judgment, free from their expectations, and free from the exhausting need to prove myself to people who were never going to see my value anyway. That night, I realized something powerful. Sometimes the best revenge isn't screaming or fighting or making someone suffer. Sometimes it's simply walking away, building a beautiful life, and letting them watch from a distance while you thrive. The universe has a way of exposing truth when the time is right, and the people who dismissed you will eventually realize what they lost. But by then, you'll be too busy living your best life to care. My mother-in-law called me 47 times over the next 2 weeks, left 23 voicemails sobbing and begging, but I never listened to a single one because I had already given them too many chances, and I finally understood that forgiveness doesn't mean letting toxic people back into your life. It means releasing the anger so you can move forward without their weight holding you down. Lily is now 12 years old, top of her class, and she recently asked me why we don't see her grandparents anymore. And I told her the truth, because some people only love you when it's convenient for them, and we deserve people who love us all the time, not just when we're successful. She nodded like she understood, and I realized she did, because children see everything, they feel everything, and the greatest gift I could give her was the lesson that self-respect is more important than family approval. Today, I run my department with 200 employees under me. Lily has a trust fund that will secure her future forever, and my ex-in-laws are nothing but a distant memory. A cautionary tale about how treating people like garbage eventually catches up to you, because karma doesn't forget, and neither does a mother who watched her daughter's birthday cake get thrown in the trash. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who loves you, and who doesn't throw your cake in the trash. Never beg for a seat at a table where they make you feel small. Build your own table and let them watch from a distance while you thrive. The people who dismiss you will eventually realize what they lost. But by then, you'll be too busy living your best life to care.